So for today's video, I'm making a top 10 for Ultimate in the second half of the year. So let's get right into it. We got honorable mentions, I'm going to say, and that's going to be Mutis is one of them. Mutis is a player that when he does really well, like when he's on point, he is on point. I've seen him literally zero that Spargo in a set where it's game 5 and he's down, last hit on his last stock. So like when Mutis is on point and he executing his combos, he's crazy good. He can beat like just about anyone. I think he'll get roadblocked by the Sonics in like Mia level Game & Watch, doing what every event he goes to. Like his lows are not low and his highs are high. I just don't see him like hit those highs consistently enough. Like he's not on point enough. Like threaten the top echelon of talent right now. At least not consistently. Next up for honorable mentions, I put myself. I know I had a great SmashCon, but I feel like outside of that, I like do well at events, but I do get upset sometimes. Like I've lost to Lima a few times. I lost to Mystery at a regional, same with John Numbers. And like I can take sets off for the top 10. Like I beat Tweak recently. I took a set off Light the second half of the year. Obviously I have a couple sets off like Ken and like spoilers, Ken's in top 10. And Mia. I think because I'm not super consistent lately, and there's like enough players I just really struggle with in general, character-wise, player matchup-wise, whatever it is, that I wouldn't put myself in the top 10. Like I keep barely not making top 8 of these tournaments. I got 9th like 5 times the second half of the year majors, and it's like, so yeah, I wouldn't put myself in that top 10. Just really close. I'm gonna try putting in more time next year, because I realized when I was looking at my Nintendo like recap that I played less Smash this year than I expected, and I'm like, oh, that probably doesn't help. Anyway, afterwards I put Yoshidora as the last honorable mention. This player is insane. When I see Yoshidora at events, I expect him to make top 8 every single time. I know he can beat Mia, he can beat Akula, like he can beat any threat in Japan. I think I went Games to America once for Gammel, where he beat me. Or was that Battle of BC? It was one of those two. And like, he's clearly really, really good. It's just, I don't see him attend enough to like put him in the top 10. Like, I don't see his name at these tournaments that often. And that's the only reason I wouldn't put him there. Because skill-wise, he's there. He has to showcase it, right? Because I'm still not sure. Like, maybe given a bit more activity, people will learn how to fight him a bit better. And he'd be doing worse for all I know. So yeah, that's my honorable mentions. Now, the top 10 section. What's up, guys? Do you like my YouTube content? Well, did you know if you become a YouTube member of my channel, because I just actually made that thing because I thought I did that a while ago but didn't, guess what? You get access to the content early whenever it's finished. So consider checking out if you like the channel or just want to support me in general. Number 10, Zomba. So Zomba is a player that when he makes it in the top 8s, I think Zomba can cook just about anyone in the top 8 when he gets there. But with that said, I don't see him make top 8s that often enough. Like, I feel like if he fights like a great Luigi player or a great Samus player, I could see him just lose. And it's not even like a bad matchup. I just feel like sometimes he just like loses to random stuff. And I'm like, bruh, when he isn't getting upset early, he keeps it competitive with literally everyone. He's been improving a lot as well. Like, I see him just hitting his crazy Rob combos, setups. Like, his game sense is really good. He has like a good secondary with his Lucina. His Falco's really good too. I've seen him work on Steve a little bit. So he's a really solid player. You have to prep for it even if you're a top 10 player. So I'm gonna put him there at 10th. Next up, we got Tweak. Tweak's interesting because Tweak is actually really consistent. It used to be the thing that he wasn't too consistent, but like his peaks are really good. This second half year is kind of opposite, where I see him consistently place like 9th or like barely in top 8 at like 7th with the occasional really good run where he beats like Spargo, but I don't see him like beating the top echelon of players consistently, even if he can take sets off of them. And the big thing is I don't feel like he loses to people below him. Like Tweak doesn't get upset. Tweak is one of those players where like you look at his bracket and most of the time he's gonna place exactly where you expected him to place, at least in my mind. So that's both really good, but that keeps him from being higher on my personal list. And I think, I don't know, I think he needs to make some adjustments. I don't think it's a character thing. Diddy Kong's very good. You know, maybe has some rough matchups, but like, very good character. With that said, he's labbing Banjo lately, so maybe the Banjo's gonna cook, and he'll be, like, beating people you don't expect with freaking Banjo. Based purely on vibes. Like, this is entirely based on how I feel the players have been placing and playing these past 6 months, and this is not using results. This is not using head-to-heads. I'm not looking at any of that. Just based purely on how I feel like the top 10 will play out on my memory. But yeah, so he's my number 9. Number 8 is Hurt. Hurt is a player I don't see often at events either. I think he's going to America next year for his first American event. I could be wrong, and we're doing this off the top of my head because it's fun that way. Hurt is like really good. Like when I watch Hurt play, I'm like, grenade placement is amazing. And he knows how to mix in position grenades to like block off approaches, pressure people, and then knowing when to call them out, knowing when to wait for someone to get past them to punish. Like his ability to read the player based on how they're reacting to grenades is phenomenal. And as a result, his ability to make adjustments mid-set with his grenade placement, with his reads, with his tempo is so good. Like I see a Snake player who's really like mastered the art of mixing Snake's grenade play with Snake's like boxing tools. So yeah, I mean he's been Akala before, he's Mia before. I don't think he's fought Spargo yet, but I can see him being Spargo to be honest. And yeah, I don't think he's super active either. But I just watched this and I'm like, he's a threat. He is a threat to anyone that's not extremely well versed in the Snake matchup. Number 7 in my mind is Ken. Ken's interesting. First half of the year, Ken wasn't really doing too much, honestly. I think he was kind of placing poorly. But I feel like anytime I see a top 8, Ken's in there. Like, he is in that top 8, and I see him in top, like, 4s or 5s consistently. And Sonic's very good. You can tell Ken has been watching Sonics a lot to learn how to play the character much better, and it is shown. Because I feel like you put Ken versus, like, I mean, Ken beat Leo recently. I feel like Ken has a really good shot. Like, I feel like Ken would just farm most people right now. Like, right now, current Ken, the way he's playing, would just beat most people. Like, I'd even, like, say, like, there's a good amount of players in the top 10 where he would just straight beat them. Like, I feel like Ken Gluttony, Ken should just win that. I feel like Ken Tweak, I feel like Ken should just win that. And when you watch his play, he's really good at just not getting hit. He plays the game plans of just, you know, run away, get a lead, time someone out extremely well, and knows how to punish people and, like, choose the openings to get more aggressive to get that lead going. So it's like it's hard to like talk about Ken without comparing him to Sonic, so I don't want to do that. So just on his own merits, he's a player that like any set with him is going to be competitive even if he loses. And I think next year he's going to keep this momentum and might even get higher on this list. He might be like 5 next year, to be honest. Next up, we got Light as number 6. Light has been cooking people lately. Like, Light versus pretty much anyone in America, I think he just beats. Like, he'll occasionally lose, like, a regional to, like, a Luigi or, like, a Steve. Which, you know what happens. It's foxes some troubles in some matchups. And Light, like, I don't think tries as hard at, like, regionals compared to majors. But Light at a major, his execution on Fox is crazy. He's super fast. He hits his combos, hits his frame traps. His reactions are just nuts. His punish game is so consistent, so powerful. And then you watch Light play, and Light just runs over people, right? But he also has learned how to play slower in matchups where he can't just run at a character and press buttons. So finally, mastering Fox's ability to like actually play hit and run and not just hit the opponent. Like, he utilizes the speed so well to fight when he wants. He knows his matchups really well. You can tell, like, he knows how to play his matchups. He knows his STI. He knows how to not get zero death too often. And yeah, I think just as a pure, like, you can't really hit him, and he kills you when he touches you, and he's really good at that. So his performance, especially in the past few months, has been absolutely amazing. At big events, he, like, always does well. So yeah, I put him at 6. I think mostly he just can't really beat, like, the Mia Akala area of players, like those two specifically, and that's a big deal. Getting into 5, we got Gluto. And now Gluto is literally gatekept by the 4 horsemen, as it's starting to be called lately, of Mia, Spargo, Akala, Sonics, with, I think, a chance to beat Spargo, really, but the other 3 of those, like, he just can't beat. With that said, I don't see him losing to people anyone below that. Like, I feel like I see him fight literally everyone else in the world that isn't those 4, and he just wins. He has absolutely mastered Wario's air movement. He makes really good adaptations very quickly in a set. His parries are on point. His combos are on point. Like, his edge guarding, just literally everything about him is constantly on point. I don't ever see him have a bad day. I just don't. I only see him have good days and amazing days with Wario. And it's crazy to say this because he's top 5 in my opinion, but he's also held back by Wario's really hard matchups with, like, Steve and Game & Watch and Sonic. And just on a pure skill-wise, he could be the best in the world with, like, a top 5 character. But in spite of that, you know, he's playing Wario, great character, like top 20 easily. I would say, like, I think I'm putting like top 15 my tier list. I forget exactly. And, like, literally, you can tell he practices a lot. You can tell he knows what he's doing with the game. and just overall phenomenal player that is just gatekept by the literal top of the top. Now, you got the top 4. Now, I think everyone knows what the top 4 is gonna be, right? But what is the order? So, I put Sonics as 4. Sonics, he's really started picking it up, like, this year. And especially the second half of this year, he's really picked it up, starting to win majors, right? So, actually, I think I went Gamo first half of the year. Anyway, I see him, like, more consistently, like, making it to, like, grand finals and majors. And it's all it has just been Spargo versus Sonics as these major grand finals. And Spargo is a bit of a down on Sonics. Even then, Sonics beat Spargo at Coinbox IRL. And you put Sonics versus Akala and Mia, and I think he just beats both of them. I think Sonics is a player that is a bit more likely to get upset by like a really good player using like a projectile-based character in bracket. And like there's a lot of those, right? So it's not gonna happen often. But you see Sonics didn't do well at SmashCon, for example. And while I don't think that trend's gonna repeat often, I do think sometimes Sonics will just wash out on a day where he's not playing good. He's missing his edge guards. Like he's just a little bit too inconsistent to always be like making top 4 in these events. But really, he has the grind set. He constantly practices. You see his tweets of like, hey, I lost to a character, or even, hey, I had a close out with a character. Someone play this character. If you can press X button plus Y button, you're good. Like the way he grinds is very specific, because he looks for very specific counterplay to very specific options to like have a very like well-designed game plan for as many matchups as possible. And he's gonna stay on top of this rate too. Next was Akala. Akala, I think Akala's thing is he's not losing anyone below him besides Sonics in this list. Like I think you put Akala versus literally anyone that is not in the top 4, and he just beats them. His adaptations with like how he sets the tempo of the match, his parry game is really good. Like he knows how to position as Steve. He understands how to play the resource game, and as Steve is very good. He doesn't have the most technical execution on his combos, and that's where he can work on. But like otherwise, like he plays matchups the way they should be played, and knows how to take advantage of Steve's tools to make a lot of matchups like feel borderline unwinnable. Like I watch him play, and I'm like, bro, like he's just he knows his win condition in a matchup, and it's so hard for anyone to actually beat him unless the character is very good versus Steve, and that's for good reason. With that said, he's only here because I think you put him versus Spargo Sonics. He doesn't have a chance right now. I think you put him versus Mia, and that's becoming a hard matchup for him, right? So I don't see him winning events as much as he was, even if he's beating everyone else besides the literal tournament winners. And like he'll have a lot of close sets, but you can see his game 5s especially. He always wins games 5. He constantly, anytime there's a game 5, he just clutches it out. Even if he's about to lose versus like WebJP Sheik, he'll find a way to clutch out. And that clutch factor especially is massive, because like having that is a difference between being like barely a top 10 player, if at all, and literally being third best in the world, is being able to go to game 5 and consistently win. Now, number 2, we got Spargo. Spargo. The thing about Spargo, he's kind of like Sonics in that I can see him losing to more random players than other people, right? Like he lost to Lies Corn at SmashCon. Cloud has some harder matchups that aren't very common. Like you put Cloud versus like DK, for example, that can be rough. Cloud versus Samus. Like you lost to Yor, I think it was at Umabora, right? So Cloud by nature is a bit more inconsistent than these other characters because Cloud's disadvantage state is like real, and Cloud has to interact more with other characters. But Spargo's so good at like spacing. His spacing is amazing. His reads are really good. His ability to just get kills, get edge guards with Cloud, knowing how to use limit to take stocks early or get a lot of damage. And it's like, it's really hard to beat Spargo neutral. His disadvantage with Cloud is better than any other Cloud in the world, of course, and his advantage stays crazy. So like he pushes the character far and shows just like how strong the character is, like overall. With that said, yeah, he sometimes gets upset because he just gets like, I don't know, Cloud has to interact more. Cloud can't just like win matchups for free, I feel like, and sometimes people just make good reads on him and he loses, I guess. It's like hard to explain because you watch Spargo play, and when it comes to like purely like spacing and stuff, you feel like he's the best in the world, but he can still mess up in those situations. And yeah, because I feel like he'll beat pretty much everyone I put in this top 10 with consistency. It's just, does he get there enough? And then finally I got Mia as I think number 1 right now. Like Mia is like, you know, I said Spargo is like the best player interacting with players and like beating people in space in games. Well, I think Mia is the best player at knowing how to abuse non-interactive playstyles, characters, moves, whatever, and like exploiting that to its fullest to create borderline unwinnable matchups. And then he complements that with an amazing advantage state. You hit his shield, he up Bs, you're in disadvantage forever. Or like you have a really obvious area who might parry you and kill you as well. So it's like he's a really hard defense to crack open. His forward space with bombs is amazing. And like when he cracks you open, like, or punishes you for something, that's it. You get punished, you're just like, I can't escape anymore, I'm dying. The ledge trapping, the juggling, the edge guarding, it's all so well crafted. And Mia is now playing more Steve in his tournaments from Game Watch's harder matchups. And Steve is a perfect complement both to Mia's style and to Game Watch in general, right? So like any matchup Steve has trouble with, not Steve, Game Watch has trouble with, Steve probably covers, and vice versa, except maybe like Sonic or Cloud. But yeah, and Mia like consistently just does well, like literally every event. You don't see him get upset, really. Like you see him just beating even the best players in the world consistently. Like he's won so many events and he's so active, right? Like he's not a player that like goes to a few events and like wins them and like that's it. He goes to a lot of events and wins a lot of events. So even if he's not winning everything, the fact that he's going to so many events, constantly practicing and constantly like destroying people with these events, to me means in the second half of the year, he has been number one and showing no signs of slowing down. So yeah, that is my top 10 for the second half of Ultimate this year. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Yada yada. And I'll catch you later.